Whenever somebody asks Kamala Harris,
what do you think would be the biggest specific difference between your presidency and a Biden presidency?
what she typically does is give a non-answer to filibuster the time so that they can move on to the next question.
Well, we're obviously two different people, and we have a lot of shared life experiences. For example, the way we feel about our family and our parents.
What typically happens next is the person asking the questions tries to then redirect her to give a specific answer about policy.
Well, if anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years?
She responds saying that nothing's going to be different and then lists a bunch of policies that have nothing to do with the issues people actually care about, inflation and immigration.
There is not a thing that comes to mind in terms of, and I've been a part of most of the decisions that have had impact. For example, capping the cost of insulin at $35 a month for our seniors, allowing Medicare to negotiate drug prices,
Yes.
to invest in American industries, whether it be in terms of manufacturing and creating almost 800,000 new jobs.
Seeing how she bombed the question to distance herself from Biden, they basically give her a layup to kind of redirect the flow of energy.
Let's talk about something you would do different from Donald Trump.
Since you can't specifically say what you would do different from Biden, let's talk about what you would do different than Donald Trump. Now let's watch her try to answer this question again.
Under a Harris administration, what would the major changes be, and what would stay the same?
Remember, the first step is to give a filibustering non-answer, hoping that you can run the time out, and then they switch the question.
I mean, I'm obviously not Joe Biden.
I noticed.
And so that would be one change in terms of,
Yes.
but also I think it's important to say with, 28 days to go, I'm not Donald Trump. And
Now that was the first non-answer in a sense to distract the crowd. Now watch how she continues as if she's about to directly answer the question, and then she pivots into one of those filibustering tangents to try to run out the time.
And so when we think about the significance of what this next generation of leadership looks like, were I to be elected president, it is about, frankly, I love the American people, and I believe in our country. I love that it is our character and nature to be an ambitious people.
I mean, it sounds so poetic, but it's really saying nothing, just eating up the time until they have to move on to the next question. Now that she has filibustered all that time, she can run right into her talking points about the policies that nobody actually cares about.
Extending a tax deduction for startup small businesses to $50,000 instead of what currently it is at $5,000, because nobody in 2024 can start up a small business with $5,000.
Now the crowd is about to applaud. Look at Stephen Colbert's face and watch how he switches the cards, meaning that he knows he's not getting an answer to this question, so it's time to move on to the next subject.
I believe, and I spend a lot of time talking in particular with young families.
While everybody else is applauding, he leans back, switches his cards, and rolls his eyes because he feels disrespected by this woman now. Then she goes on to finish her talking points.
Part of my plan is to work with the private sector, with builders and developers, to build 3 million more homes and to give first-time home buyers a $25,000 a down payment assistance.
So you're seeing this pattern happening now. Now let's go to her Fox interview. First, Brett asks her the question.
You're not Joe Biden, you're not Donald Trump, but nothing comes to mind that you would do differently?
Let me be very clear. My presidency will not be a continuation of Joe Biden's presidency.
This one goes a bit different. She goes right into the talking points, but Brett is going to do something different too.
For example, my plan for increasing the supply of housing in America and bringing down the cost of housing. Addressing the issue of small businesses, including my plan for a $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers and for small businesses, extending the tax deduction from $5,000 to $50,000.
We've heard a lot about those plans in recent days.
He interrupts her poetic, filibustering tangent to tell her we've already heard all that stuff. That has nothing to do with what the American people actually care about. How is your administration going to be different than the failures of this current administration?
Your campaign slogan is a new way forward, and it's time to turn the page. You've been vice president for 3.5 years, so what are you turning the page from?
So we asked her the question again, trying to redirect and pin her down to something specific. Now watch Watch her answer.
Well, first of all, turning the page from the last decade in which we have been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed and implemented to divide our country.
Once again, redirecting the blame to Trump. Now what we're going to see next is Brett actually interjecting into this beautiful, poetic, tangential filibuster to try to redirect her to the issues that people actually care about.
Madam
That
Vice
is
President, more than
turning the
70% of people
That is
tell
about
pollsters,
turning the page on rhetoric that people are frankly exhausted of, Brett.
more than
People are
70% of people
exhausted.
tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track, that track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and President Biden being president.
Unlike everybody else who's interviewed her, he has brought her back to that point over and over again. And now that she's run out of all of her pre-packaged answers, this is what she has to say.
If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office.
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
It's painful to watch, to be honest with you. She literally had no words left because every word that she says has been someone else's thought. Once she ran out of all of the talking point rebuttals and responses and filibustering tactics, she had literally nothing else to say. She doesn't have an answer to that question because nothing's going to be different. But let's watch one more.
What is one policy that you would have done differently over these last 3.5 years than President Biden?
So what's the first thing that she does, boys and girls?
I mean, to be very candid with you, even including Mike Pence, vice presidents are not critical of their presidents.
She gives a non-answer.
He's now
That should
given you that
happen.
green light with his comments that you can carve your own path. So now that you have this ability to say that to be on your own?
Beautiful redirect. He didn't allow her to go on too long. He reminded her that the president said that you get to carve your own path. So with that being said, how is it going to be different? What does she do next?
Going forward, there is no question that I bring my own experiences and my own life experiences and
Is there
career.
a policy that stands out to you in particular?
A beautiful, poetic tangent. That's what she does next. And what does he do? Immediately redirects her back to the specifics. Is there a specific policy? And then what does she do?
My approach to what we need to do around Medicare covering home health care, my priority on housing, my policy about $25,000 down payment assistance to help them get their foot in the door, the work that I have been doing and will bring to the presidency around emphasizing small businesses. Those are the experiences and the ideas that I have that are about moving forward.
Again, listing off all those talking points that have nothing to do with that survey that Brett showed where it says that over 70% of Americans said that they thought that we were on the wrong track. Being on the wrong track has nothing to do with those things that she listed. So once again, she gave a non-answer. Now I'm going to show you a clip of Joe Biden going through the same thing, but I'm going to show you the difference in how he handles it versus Kamala Harris as a vice president.
Then you serve as vice president in an administration that deported 3 million people, the most ever in U.S. history. Are you prepared to say tonight that you and President Obama made a mistake about deportations?
It's a very tough question. The guy that you just served under deported the most people in U.S. history. Are you willing to say that that was a mistake and that you're going to do something different? Watch how Joe Biden answers.
I'm proud to have served with him. What I would do as president is several more things, because things have changed. I would, in fact, make sure that we immediately surge to the border. All those people are seeking asylum. They deserve to be heard. That's who we are. I stand with Barack Obama all 8 years, good, bad, and indifferent.
He says, I stand with Barack. I'm proud of what he did, but I would do something different in regards to the exact topic you're actually talking about. What I would do differently other than what he did, because he deported, what I would do is I would search them through the border, those people seeking asylum. Not that I agree with that policy, but he specifically spoke about the topic at hand and what he would do differently. He didn't distance himself in a negative way. He still gave props to the administration and still said, but I wouldn't do that. I would do this in regards to immigration. He didn't go into housing or healthcare or any of that stuff nobody actually really cares about. He actually answered the question and still stood with Barack. That's how you're supposed to answer the question. So when people are saying, how do they expect her to answer it? They expect her to attack no, we don't. We expect her to actually tell us what's the difference, if there's going to be a difference, and tell us that there's not going to be a difference if there isn't. But why is she afraid to answer the question? Because she knows that there's not going to be a difference, that the very thing that everybody's complaining about is exactly what she's going to continue to give you for the next 4 years. Thank y'all for your time and attention, for watching the video this far. Whether you agree or disagree with the video, all opinions are welcome in the comment section. All right, so I'll see you on the next one. Peace.